NSFW, soldiers veterans of Reddit, what is something they don't tell you about the military? You get a military discount at Hot Topic. You will get yelled at for not knowing how to do something that you haven't been trained for yet. The highest ranking people aren't necessarily the best out there. They may just have managed to stay in a long time. You can't quit, and they'll only fire you if you do something criminal. All other bad behavior just results in punishment. Oh, you got promoted? Great. Now go clean something. Sleep will become more enjoyable than 6. You will travel the world. At least some of the worst parts of it, anyway. You learn how to be a maid. A very anal retentive maid. It's made up of the gayest straight dudes, and the straightest gay dudes you've ever met. If you're infantry, you'll go on month-long training exercises in the woods, eating only MREs. You'll get back on a Friday and go out with your buddies, where you all will proceed to clog the toilets of the bar with all of your nasty MRE briquettes. After a week in the field, I took an MRE at leaning up against a tree. It stuck against the tree, a foot from the ground. It was there when we left the field 2 weeks later. It might still be there. Lower standards for romance with women. Way lower. You'll cuddle with another man in a sleeping bag and it won't be gay, I promise. You'll do a lot of stupid it, but also some really fun it. Speaking as an infantryman, we got to shoot a lot of guns and blow stuff up. There will be nasty women with 4 or 5 kids that live near the base who will throw themselves at you because they want to marry you and get free healthcare and housing. Don't do anything. Buy a car. Drink. Look for girls anywhere near a military base. It's all a scam designed to separate 18-year-olds from their money, edited by adding more stuff. Don't admit to any drug use to a recruiter. They can't prove it unless you have been busted or caught. If you want to get a feel for what the military is like, do the following. Get very drunk until about 1 AM. Go to sleep. Wake up at 0530. If you did it right, you should still be slightly drunk. Put on shoes, shorts and a t-shirt and go outside. Set a cell phone alarm for 25 minutes from now. Stand still with your arms behind your back until the alarm goes off. After that, go for a 5-mile run. Take a shower and get dressed in 10 minutes. Go outside and look at your front door for half an hour. Take everything you can out of your house. Put all of your stuff back in your house. Go outside and look at your front door for 10 minutes. Eat breakfast. You have had a good army morning. Oh, and you forgot to shave. I can see that now that the sun is up. Guess who you get to hang out with this weekend? Me. We are good to go for a long run because you forgot to shave and because I don't know how to be with my family. The rapid descent into douchedom. I went in a 19-year-old timid virgin non-drinker smoker. In less than a year I had lost my virginity to a 60-year-old barmaid with cigarette burns on her tits on her pool table in her dive bar after closing. And during most nights assure I would put a serious dent in a jug of Bacardi while smoking filterless Italian cigarettes while listening to The Cure and hating every fiber of my being. There's a way wider range of jobs than most people realize. Everyone wants to be a sniper or drive a tank, but the military has way more regular support jobs than it has combat jobs. Most people work in HR, technical support, as mechanics, etc. Also, the compensation is way better than people let on. I think it was Jeff from Red vs. Blue who said something along the lines of, "Nobody tells you how soul-crushingly boring being in the military is. Just how stupid everything really is. How unfathomably stupid some it really is. Motor pool closeout? Let's get the entire platoon down there to spend 2 hours making sure every vehicle is lined up perfectly with the vehicle next to it, so that they will look good for when no one is around on the weekend to look at them. Ducking waste of time. End of the week formation is the final duck the army will give you after another itty week. Doesn't matter if you are a cherry private or SFC, you gotta go to formation Friday afternoon, so 1 SG, battery commander, and battalion commander can all take turns saying the same it over the course of an hour or two, reminding you that drinking and driving, smoking weed, and beating your wife are all bad things. Base commander wants a formation at 7:30 for a run and informs all battalion commanders. Battalion commanders inform their company commanders to have their soldiers ready at 7 o'clock to make sure that absolutely no one is late. Company commanders instruct their platoon leaders to be information ready for the run at 6:45. Platoon leaders, wanting to be sure that their soldiers are ready in plenty of time, tell their platoon sergeants to have their people in formation at 6:30. Squad leaders get these instructions from the platoon sergeants and tell their soldiers to be standing in formation at 6:15. Soldiers get to formation at 6:15 and spend the next hour and 15 minutes standing in the same spot wondering about the choices they made in their lives. Most of your co-workers have the intelligence of a brick, and the military was the last option for them to do anything productive with their lives. That once your training is done and you're up in the field, not the heaviest gun wins. The R8 revolver wins. How much you are going to miss hating it when you get out. The pay is not as bad as everyone says, especially when deployed. You can get a rack load of money depending on your situation. If you're going to join in a job you can use in the civilian world. If you decide you want to fight and want to be in the military until retirement, re-enlist for a combat MOS. But, and I can't stress this enough, join a MOS that will give you a job on the outside first. Don't volunteer for anything unless you like volunteering for everything. Navy equals never again volunteer yourself. Air Force here. When you arrive for basic military training, boot camp, they will wake you up at 2 AM to go to psychological training. They will tell you these tests are to help pilots in training. Your TI will tell you when you are done you can rest your head on the desk. Most airmen just start filling in and guessing so they can sleep. I spent 3 hours almost finishing the tests. The next day we were given one of 10 different squadrons. They ranged from Hell's Hole all the way up to Disney World. I ended up in a twin co-ed flight nicknamed Disneyland. We got all kinds of perks, privies, coke in chow hall, etc. 1. You will spend 99% of your time doing mindless stupid and about 1% having the most fun you'll ever have in your life. 2. Sleep becomes the most precious commodity you can have. 3. Your sexual standards go down. Way down. Like, way down. 4. Most of the time, you will get the feeling that your leadership has no idea what's going on, and you will usually be right. 5. You will be in your 30s with years of military experience, and a college graduate with less than 1 year in service will be your boss. You will resent this. 6. If you don't make racist jokes against your friends now, you will soon learn to. 7. Eventually you will begin to get annoyed with all civilians. They don't really do anything wrong, but they're just so slow. They don't move with a purpose and this will piss you off. 8. If you're in the Army or Marine Corps, there will come a point where you'll be drunk at 3 AM on a Tuesday. Think, do I have a problem? Keep drinking and easily run 5 miles when 6 AM comes around. 9. You become dependent on your military friends. Going home won't feel like going home anymore, because only your military friends really get you and your twisted sense of humor. 10. You'll pick up a habit, be it tobacco, alcohol, caffeine, or women. This is true in all cases. You do not sign up for only 4 years if you want the good MO says. If there is any investment in you, they will make it 6 years minimum, and even after 6 years can still be called back. You'll lit in a hole in the woods, mountains, desert, frozen tundra more than a few times. Pro tip: the exterior box portion of a case of MREs will support your weight, making for an impromptu toilet. Most of the military isn't really doing anything other than glorified guard duty. If you're in the Navy is sailing in circles or port to port. Massive portions of the army is just sitting in bases all over the world waiting for their part of the world to go to it. That there is something called command extension. I signed for 4 years. Ended up doing 7 years without my permission. I was in a very technical MOS on civilian equipment. When it was time for me to ETS, I got paperwork saying I was being kept for another year. This happened 2 more times. If you ever go to Korea, remember the best way to make E5 is to go there an E6. Navy vet here. You have to pay for the food. I was attached to a ship and a certain amount was taken out of every check. You have to do 90 or more days of working in the galley. It sucks. You stand watch a lot. Nothing ever happens. Usually, you'll see a lot of women join your command, then leave after they get knocked up. Source: am female veteran. Did not get knocked up. Waiting. and more waiting. There is a phenomenon in the military known as getting promoted to your level of incompetence. Very often, someone will have just enough ability to get promoted to a position they are thoroughly unqualified for, but no farther. Working for these people is awful, especially if they have realized what has happened and are just hanging in long enough to qualify for retirement pay. There is no greater adrenaline rush as the world than combat. At the same time, hearing the screams of friends and some of the toughest men you've ever met in life as they lie there wounded and helpless will haunt you. In some cases more than it does them. You will always be joking with a friend one day, making plans for the future when you get home back to the States, and then in the blink of the eye they are gone. It can happen so randomly you are left wondering why them, or how them and not me. I've had so many close calls that it is haunting when I think of how some buddies had terrible things happen to them on their very first time outside the wire. It is baffling. For some people it can be harder to stay in than it was to join. Lots of Mickey Mouse bullet to deal with too. Cole gets caught by the gen with his feet on the desk dart. You're going to be picking up a lot of cigarette butts and straightening poles. Bouncer check cause you're so bank whatever ducked up. It's your ass. I knew a guy, he made all his normal monthly payments while overseas but didn't know there was some error in payroll and he didn't get paid. He had lots of explaining to do when he was just doing what he needed to do. Sunburned? Destruction of gov property. Feeling sick after breakfast? Too bad sick hall was at PT. Most units they understand and will just say go lay down. But not always. I got stuck out late driving around my LT and a cadet. We got back after dinner and he had to sneak giving me money to buy some food because it's his ass that I wasn't allowed to eat on time. I wasn't mad and tried to not take it cause it wasn't his fault. We literally got stuck on a mountain. But I had to duck it. Katusa snack bar was still open anyway. You start off thinking that you're going to be Luke Skywalker saving the world. But soon enough you realize that you're a stormtrooper working for the Empire. You're praised for what a good deed you're doing and it makes you feel awesome. You get paid well, especially if you don't have a family. People respect you looking all sharp in your uniform. But in fact, you leave the military with problems that you wouldn't have if you'd either never joined. The government that you thought had your back really didn't and they still doesn't. They don't want you anymore when we don't need as many soldiers. You or your buddies get chaptered, kicked out when your PTSD symptoms translate into unfortunate behavior that no law enforcement officer would be punished for. You begin to understand why those vets on the street are the way they are. You question the wisdom of everyone you were taught to trust. You realize the world is a itty place. You are more than likely to become an alcoholic. That they'll give you the best friends you'll ever have, and that, at times, you'll have to bury them. Rip Casey, Damien, Clay, Tim and Sean. You will be amazed at how stupid people are. They used to tell us how to do some easy as duck task in basic like line up for shots. The drill sergeant would say that no matter how stupidly easy this sounds, I guarantee at least one of you morons is going to duck it up. Never failed. And like other people said, the waiting, especially the initial processing that comes after MEPS and before basic training. There were days when you literally sat in a line all day long, just to go sleep and come back to the same line the next day. The guys in basic training talking smack about going special forces are usually the ones that end up pushing papers. The quiet guy in the back who knows how to listen and maxes his PT test, he'll make it. Well, I'll tell you about it, but first I need you to go over to this other subreddit and wait there for a mod to message you. In a few hours, once I realize I forgot to tell the mod to message you, I'll tell him that when it's convenient he should message you and he should definitely be a D to you. And once he's told you something, I could probably tell you I'm going to present a 20-page PowerPoint presentation on why you shouldn't abuse your friends. After that there is another 20-page PowerPoint on why you shouldn't kill yourself. And we'll have to repeat that next week to make sure you know we don't want you to abuse people or kill yourself. Then I'm gonna need to wait with all these other users in an area and wait for me to give some stupid ass speech about how much we've accomplished and how we should be proud together. By then you'll wanna be done with this process so badly you'll bolt after I release you. TLDR. Wait. Air Force veteran here. Perception and appearance matter more than actual proper performance. There are 3 types of people in the military, divided by rank. The lowest ranks are the people who are doing the military thing in order to achieve some higher goal, college or to get training for a job in the civilian world, etc. The middle ranks are for those people who, after the first 6 years, couldn't figure out how to survive in the civilian world, so just re-enlisted. These are not typically the cream of the crop, and sadly, these are the people that make most of the decisions. The higher ranks are the ones whose lives are the military. Waiting, excessive cleaning, then re-cleaning just to kill time. If you're maintenance, you'll be working when everyone else is not. Everything has paperwork. You can put in release papers and get released from your contract early, upon approval of course. People usually get it. It loads of time off between extra long holidays, short days, sports days, admin days, events, and so on. Pretty much any over-the-counter pharmaceutical needs you may have you can get from the base pharmacy for free. Condoms too. The higher rank you get, the less you'll do of your actual trade. Instead you'll do more administrative stuff for the troops and equipment under you. You'll have some of the ittiest moments in your life, with some of the best friends you'll ever know. Depending on your trade, you may be stuck training and learning for years into your career before you're deployable. Your blood turns to coffee. Lots of ducked up humor and jokes. It's hilarious. Unless you're rich and have a big D. Yeah, I said big D, just to throw you off. Depending on the trade and posting, you may never see anything close to combat or front lines your whole tour. Some general stuff. Some stuff may be country specific though. I'm sure we're all not far off, however lol. Edit. McDonald's discount. Nobody cares about your job until something ducks up. This could be true for the civilian world also. Hurry up and wait. If you are able, go airborne. Extra cash in the pocket and you get to jump out of planes. Deployments are one big gay joke. I specifically remember we had what was called do time, where we went swimming in the pool and everyone was trying to pants everyone else. Buddy up to the supply guys and whoever is in charge of the arms room. You can get lots of cool ed off the books. Not guns but holsters and flashlights. Seriously, one long, hard, throbbing gay joke. Navy officer here. Just a few things. Don't lose paperwork on anything. Make copies. They didn't tell us or train us on the fine detail that goes into all of said paperwork. Not saying we wing it, but we do. Navy lingo isn't English. Takes practice. Your life is worthless to the government who owns you, but to the people you served with, your life is more precious than even their own. The equipment you use was made by the lowest bidder. You will become a master tinkerer in order to repair and save whatever equipment you have. I was a combat medic. They didn't tell me how much I would end up loving all of the soldiers in my unit. I've been out for 4 years, and I love each of them still like my family. That love has spread to all servicemen and women. I love you all. Join the Navy and see the world. What they don't tell you is the world's 75% ocean. You can drive 4 weeks in a straight line and never hit anything. That said, I loved being at sea. You will meet the absolute best and absolute worst people of your entire life in the military. If you get in a PRP designated job, don't be a man and deny all your ailments so you will stay up on PRP. If it's small, sure, it's no big deal. But if you are having issues, tell someone. Because when you get out and they check your record and see that nothing was wrong with you in your career, you will be denied benefits. Screw the leaderships for pressuring you into wanting to ignore all your issues just so you can dispatch on a job. I was denied benefits despite showing all the signs of PTSD, depression, alcohol abuse, extreme back and knee pain, because every time our psych levels and physical levels came around we were pressured to just tell everyone that everything is okay and there are no issues. Take care of yourselves. It's already hard enough to get any sort of benefits from the VA. Don't build a case against yourself while you're in. If you volunteer for submarine duty, you'll never get stationed on a surface ship, ever, unless you go full on batshit insane and get yourself kicked off the boat, or duck up enough to get yourself disqualified from submarine duty, but not kicked out of the Navy altogether. Fine line there. Also, they don't let you onto a sub or even see one before you volunteer, so hopefully you'll like it, cause it's all you'll see for the next 6-9 months when deployed. Also, Navy basic training is all about sleep deprivation. They want to know that you can pull a 48-hour day without falling apart or doing something dangerous or stupid. Seems excessive? It's not. You will get it for sleep for your entire time in the Navy. If you're in port, the workday starts at 7 AM. If you're on duty, which is basically every 3-4 days on a sub, your workday starts at 6 AM and then lasts until 5 PM the following day. Fun times. And you're involved in the reactor startup. Your ass needs to be there, ready to work, by 3 AM. And if you're overseas about to leave, then guess what? Everybody in the engine room about to start up the reactor, they're all still drunk from the night before. And somehow, magically, that's actually safer. I don't know why, but all the best reactor startups we did were when everybody was still ducked up. Sober watch team leads to all manner of duck-ups during startup. Somehow. That when you retire, Tricare is actually, for now, hope they don't duck it up, is a great medical plan. Spend $500 a year, I don't know the exact amount, have a wife to pay bills, and your medical is taken care of. No co-pays, no deductibles, access to top flight care. Of course you have to put up with 20 years worth of bullet, but in retrospect, it wasn't that bad. Well, I am a member in Latvian National Guard. Does that count? Oh, duck it anyway. One thing that I have noticed about military in general is that they don't fully explain things to you. You learn them in time and then understand that it would have helped if someone had told you that previously and not made you extra problems. And they require a lot of stupid and not needed procedures that don't really have a logical cause. Some of them are, what can you call them? Sickness of bureaucracy. I guess that's how you call them. You must walk like this. Do things exactly in this way, in this specific order and no other way. Even though almost immediately when you are on your own that stuff goes straight through the window and you do things that are the easiest and the most convenient to you personally. I first noticed this in basic training. Example, soldiers. You must take apart your rifles in this specific order. Otherwise we will punish you. Short while later we are talking to some real actual soldiers who say that's bullet. The order doesn't matter. Just know how to operate and clean your it. That's all that matters.